Hey guys, what's up? Now, yesterday was the Ecuagenera pop-up out in Markham, and like I had mentioned in my previous video, I had picked up 2 items from the pop-up, and these are them right over here. Now, I did previously own these 2 plants. However, 1, they were never this large. 2, I just never was able to get them to grow. Like, this luxurian is huge, and she actually recommended that I pick this one up because the chunk from this is fairly big. So I am going to take you over to the sink later and show you how I am going to acclimate these guys. But yeah, Hamina had recommended that I pick up this one because the chunk is fairly big and the leaves look really good. And I learned something new, which is luxurians don't prefer bright light. Like, I didn't know that. I had no idea. So she had recommended that I give it lower lights, and the way that they grow the luxurians, they're actually like at the very bottom. I guess like underneath all the other bigger plants. And this is the Philodendron Varicosum Amazon Sunset. Now, I have never been able to get this guy to grow. I think this summer I just gave up on it and didn't want anything to do with it anymore. So she said to give this one a try, and these guys actually shipped really well, so I have high hopes. So I'm actually going to take you guys over to my kitchen counter and show you the roots and what they look like and why I use an air pump for acclimating my plants. I did get a few questions as to how I acclimate my imports, and generally it's kind of the same, minus like the condition of the plants itself. But I'm going to show you how I use an air pump to get my roots growing and to get big juicy roots so that you guys can have lovely foliages. So let's go. All right, so now that we're back, I'm going to start opening up this luxurian, and I'm actually quite excited to see the roots on this guy. So at the pop-up, the plants were actually still in moss, and if they weren't in moss, they were still in the original, I guess, peat moss or soil or whatever it is that they were growing the plants in. So I didn't want to start opening this while I was talking because it's fairly noisy, but this is how the plants arrived. So they had this plastic here, and this particular plant had moss, and they still have the tags so that you know what plant it is. So I am gonna go ahead and remove the plastic off camera and show you what the plants look like before I start pruning them and acclimating them. All right, so here is the Philodendron luxurian, and it looks stunning. Let me see if I can look at how pretty this is. Now, this plant actually has 3 leaves. Unfortunately, this little one looks a little bit sad. And it's probably because it's the oldest one. Actually, no, I lied. It's the second oldest one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this. And these plants look really good, to be honest with you. However, the growth point on this plant looks suspicious. I don't think anything is going to grow from here, but we will see. So I did go ahead and remove all the moss, and this is what it looks like. The roots are substantial and they are very long. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put this guy aside and open up my varicosum, and then I'm going to show you how I acclimate them. All right, and here is the varicosum, and like I had said before, varicosums don't typically ship well, but this doesn't look too bad. So this leaf looks good. This leaf looks okay, and then this leaf over here is kind of yellowing, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. And the roots on this looks okay. Like, it's not great or anything like that, but I mean, they are imports. So this plant actually. I'm not sure what I want to do with it just yet. I think right now they are very thirsty. So I'm actually gonna put it in a jar with water so that they could, you know, drink up. And I am actually considering cutting this because you know, the bigger the plant is, I find that it's harder for me to acclimate them, especially if they are kind of finicky already. So this particular plant, I'm gonna try to clean it up as much as I can, and I'm not gonna mess around with it too much right now, but I may end up cutting this right here so that I can have this top cut. And if this ends up surviving, then it'll survive. And it does have a node right over here, so I think it'll be okay. But right now, what I'm just gonna do is go off camera and give both the plants a rinse, and then I'm gonna show you how I am going to acclimate them. All right, so like I had mentioned, I will be using an air pump to help produce more oxygen in the water for the roots of the plants. And it makes sense because typically when we have a philodendron or any type of aroid, we actually have a more chunkier mix, and the chunkier the better because there's like more air pockets in it, and essentially there's more oxygen. So I use an air pump because it's going to produce more oxygen in the water, and the roots are going to really appreciate that, and it's going to root a lot better. Now, there has been times where I just have an air pump going for 2 weeks, and then I'll transfer it over to moss once I get new roots growing. But some of the roots on this plant looks a little bit sketchy, so they may be in water for a little bit longer. Now, this air pump that I have, this is the air stone that's attached to this hose, and the hose is attached to this, is attached to this doohickey right here, and then it plugs into the wall. Now, there are different variations of air pumps that you can purchase. The one that I have right now is just a single one. I do have a double one upstairs, and the motor on that is a lot bigger, and it has 2 spouts so that you can attach 2 of the hoses and have the stone in it. Now, the way you use this is you want to first let this soak in water, like so, and then you just plug it in. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in so you can kind of see how loud it is, and I guess on your own discretion figure out if this is for you or not. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's really not that loud. I do find that this one is more quiet than the one that does the double air stone. Yeah. The other one that uses 2 of the air pumps is a little bit louder just because it has, like, you know, it's a bigger motor, but it's not too bad. And you're supposed to actually have this like attached up here above the water level, and that's it. That's how I acclimate my plants. And this time around, I will probably be using a couple of drops of HB 101 in here to help give you know, the roots more nutrients and revitalize it a little bit more, because they do look a little bit droopy. So yeah. So right now my plants are actually just kind of soaking in hydrogen peroxide like so, and like I said, they are fairly droopy, but once it starts drinking the water and it's done being abused, I will go ahead and leave it upstairs with the air pump so that it can keep rooting for me. And then once it's strong enough and looks perky, I will then decide what I'm going to do with it, especially the varicosum, because it looks so good right now, but I don't know, like I said, the roots look kind of sketch to me. So I think it's probably better to cut it now and root the top cutting rather than, you know, try to revive the whole thing and then lose everything, and I'm just stuck with like this long stem. So anyways, this is how I use an air pump and how I will be acclimating my my imports from Ecuagenera. Now, I don't know if I had mentioned it in my last video when I was at the pop-up, but I was told that the reason why these plants actually shipped really well this time around is because the plants that were there for the pop-up was actually imported in from Florida, versus I think when you place your order online, the plants are coming straight from Ecuador, and the distance on the plane is a lot longer than it is coming from Florida. So I think that's the reason why these guys shipped really well. I think the one plant that I was like most surprised about was the philodendron serpens. Like, that looked huge, it looked perky, so I was really impressed with the plants. So I do have high hopes for these guys. I guess I'll just give you guys an update if I'm able to successfully root them and keep the size, because I'm so used to having the leaves drop and end up with like a chunk and having to grow it from scratch, that if I'm actually able to get it going from the way they are right now, it's kind of a miracle, to be honest. but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you purchase an air pump, let me know, and let me know how you guys acclimate your plants. But in any case, I hope everyone had a great day and wet plant shopping. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.